One problem solved. Up in the north, in the kingdom of Israel, Elisha was carrying on God's work now that Elijah had gone. Elisha was very different from his master. Elijah had been strong and stern. People had been a little afraid of him, even while they admired his courage and goodness. Everyone loved Elisha. They could tell him their troubles. One day a very worried-looking woman came to see him. "Sir," she began, "my husband has died. He loved and served God and belonged to one of the prophet's schools. Now I'm in real trouble because he owed money. The man he owed says he'll take my 2 boys as slaves if I don't settle the debt. But I haven't any money. Please, will you help me?" Elisha was a poor prophet too. He could not pay the widow's debt. "I wonder how I can help you," he murmured. Then God put a suggestion into Elisha's mind. "Have you anything at all left in the house?" he asked. "Just a little jar of olive oil, that's all," she answered. "That will do," Elisha said. "Call in everyone you know and borrow their empty jars. Collect as many as you can. Take them all home, go indoors with your sons, and shut the door. Then start pouring the oil from your little jar into the ones you have borrowed." The widow did exactly as Elisha said. When she had collected a good stock of empty jars, she began filling them with oil. The boys took the full jars from her and handed her more empty ones. It seemed as if the supply of oil would never run out. At last, when she called out, "Pass me another jar," the boys replied, "There aren't any left." At that very moment, the oil in her own jar ran out. Not a drop was left. She hurried back to Elisha to tell him about the wonderful thing that had happened. "Go and sell the oil," Elisha said, "then pay off your debt. You'll soon and still have enough money to live on." A room of his own. Elisha did not live all the time in one place, but went about teaching and helping the people. One day, when he visited Shunem, a rich farmer's wife invited him to dinner. "Come here for a meal whenever you visit Shunem," she told him kindly. So Elisha often shared a meal with his new friends. One day after he had left, the woman said to her husband, "The prophet often visits Shunem. Could we build him a room of his own so that he has always somewhere to stay?" "Do as you like, my dear," her husband replied absent-mindedly. The woman set to work. She called a builder to add a room to the flat roof. She ordered the joiner to make a table and chair and a bed to furnish the room. She set an oil lamp on the table. When Elisha next came, she showed him his new room. Elisha was delighted to have somewhere to pray and study as well as to sleep. "I wish I could think of some way to repay this woman for all her kindness," he told Gehazi, his servant, "but she is rich and needs nothing." Gehazi knew from the servant's talk that there was one thing the woman wanted very much indeed. "She wants a son," he told his master. Elisha was sure that if he asked God to give the woman a child, God would hear his prayer. "Ask her to come here," he told Gehazi. The servant soon returned with the woman. She stood in the doorway, waiting to hear what the prophet would say. "By this time next year," Elisha told her, "you will be holding your own baby son in your arms." The woman could scarcely believe her ears. It seemed too good to be true. One dreadful day. When Elisha's words came true and the little son was born, the kind woman of Shunem was overjoyed. She took great care of her baby. Nothing was too good for him. Now, when Elisha came to visit, he would have to admire the boy's new tooth or watch his first unsteady step. As the boy grew older, his father loved to have his company too. "Come with me to the fields today," he said to him one morning. "You can help me with the harvest." His mother watched proudly as her husband set off, holding their small son's hand. For a while the boy ran about happily among the reapers, collecting his own small bundle of barley. Suddenly he cried out to his father, my head, it hurts so much." His father looked at the flushed little face in alarm. "Take him straight home to his mother," he ordered a servant. His mother took the child into the coolest room of the house and sat with him on her lap, gently rocking him, as she had done when he was a baby. But at midday he died. Without a word to anyone, she carried the little boy upstairs, the body upstairs, laid it gently on Elisha's bed, and shut the door. Then she called her husband. She did not tell him what had happened. She just asked him to send a servant with a donkey so that she could visit Elisha. "Why visit the prophet today?" he asked. But still she told him nothing. She did not want to talk to anyone but Elisha about what had happened. "Make the donkey go fast as you can," she said to the servant, and the two set off. Alive again. When the woman was still some way off, Elisha recognized her. "Look," he said to Gehazi, his servant, "there's a woman from Shunam. Hurry out to meet her and find out if anything is wrong." Gehazi set off quickly. "Is all well?" he asked her breathlessly. The woman said nothing about what had happened, but hurried on to find Elisha. Gehazi began to push her aside to stop her from bothering the prophet, but Elisha said, "Leave her alone. She is very upset. Something has happened, but God has not told me what it is." As soon as she was with Elisha, the woman poured out her trouble. "Why did you raise my hopes by asking God to give me a son?" she asked. "Now he has died. How could you let that happen?" Elisha turned to Gehazi. "Take my staff," he said, "and go straight to Shunam. Lay my staff on the child. Now hurry, stop for no one." "I'm not leaving you," the woman told Elisha tearfully. "We'll go back together," Elisha said quietly. Before they arrived, they met Gehazi coming back to meet them. "It's no good," he said, handing Elisha back his staff. "Nothing happened. There's no sign of life in the child." When they reached the woman's home, Elisha went straight to his room. There, on his bed, lay the dead child. Elisha closed the door quietly. First, he prayed to God. Then he lay gently on the lifeless child, placing his eyes on the boy's eyes, his hands on the boy's hands, and his mouth on the boy's mouth. Gradually, a little warmth crept into the cold body. Elisha got up, paced about the room, and then again breathed warm air into the dead boy. Suddenly there was a little sound. Achoo! The boy had sneezed. Then he sneezed again and again. After that he opened his eyes wide. "Get the boy's mother, Gehazi," Elisha called out. "Here is your son," Elisha told her. His mother picked him up. There were tears in her eyes. The little boy smiled at her. He was alive.